Well, good evening, WNBA and women's basketball fans, and welcome into the WNBA 365 Network, your 24/7, 365 comprehensive home for everything revolving around the WNBA and the women's basketball universe. Back with you folks here on a back-to-back schedule, back here on this very chilly Tuesday night here, wherever you may be joining us from. Again, alongside again a duo tonight of WNBA 365 analysts. Again, it's the All-California starting three this evening, alongside Crystal Thomas and Tanisha Stewart, both up in Los Angeles. Cal McClure joining you here from Studio 171 in San Diego. Okay, ladies, we had a pretty chaotic night last night, which led to some positive and negative vibes. By the way, Shorty kind of had a little wager about how many views the show from last night would have on the channel after it went public, of course, as we know that we kind of got a bit sidetracked last night, sadly. Shorty, we had 50 views in 22 hours since it finished up publishing, so you wanted 100, so you got half. So, kind of like take your pick with that one. Other than that, though, guys, how's it going tonight? Good to see you.
It is going good. Had some pizza.
Yes, hey everyone, me, KT here, ready to get this show started, and hopefully it won't be as crazy as last night. On second thought, I hope so, because we were
Now,
lit yesterday.
yeah, we were in fuego last night. We were coming in pretty hot last night on a Monday night. That normally does not happen on Monday for us. Just so you guys know, that doesn't really happen a lot. So with that though, folks, we're going to quickly get to again. I know that we kind of got a bit lost in the shuffle during the last couple of weeks. Now, again, folks, what is going to be happening again tomorrow? Now, again, if you guys have gone to our site, again, WNBA365.wix.com/WNBA365, again, folks, as you probably see on the channel rundown or the lineup rundown of all the programming on the network, again, you see that there are two basketball game broadcasts, you can kind of say, put up on the channel lineup again, which is again tomorrow and Saturday. But again, to reiterate again, because Shorty, I don't think you heard this last night, but again, those games will not be streamed live on the YouTube channel for the network because of a university policy at PONU, so I cannot actually do a simulcast stream. If you do want to watch me or listen to me, fork out $9 and go to ponuclines.com/gaming. So again, tomorrow and Saturday will not be carried on the channel. Again, you have to go through the school and pay the $9 to watch the game. The only people that will be able to watch, though, on YouTube, again, will be the broadcasting. So only the 5 people a part of this channel will be able to go into a private off-air hangout to watch me, or at least listen to me, announce the two basketball games on Wednesday and Saturday. Now, folks, on Thursday and Friday is when we begin our college coverage officially, because we're on our last night of WNBA offseason coverage for right now. So, again, on Thursday, again, we'll look over the television schedule. And after the night, everyone in this hangout and everyone a part of the broadcast team gets the Twitter password to our network Twitter handle, and we're all going to be assigned to one game, and you'll see plenty of updates through the course of the night of college basketball for the women at least. And then at 9 o'clock p.m. on Thursday and Friday, and also for the remainder of the offseason for now, again, on WNBAU, our college show again, it'll be both top 25 and local conferences in our area. So again, we're not going to be here sitting here for 5 hours talking every single Division I through D3 conference going on. So again, it's only going to be top 25 and locals for the most part right now. And again, to reiterate again, but tomorrow and Saturday, the games cannot be seen on the YouTube channel. Again, you'll have to fork out $9 to watch the game. Again, between PONU and their respective opponents. Again, those games will be covered by me on the broadcast for those two shows and those two games. Now, Crystal, we're going to start with you here. Now, sadly, I've not been able to really write anything or really been able to share anything lately because I've been pretty much booked and slammed and sandwiched between a lot of things going on between the university and, of course, the hockey team I was doing and everything else included. Crystal, you actually had a blog story shared on the 3rd earlier on this, or maybe even a couple days ago, I want to say, actually. Yeah, a couple days ago again, about your top 10 college teams to watch. Now, again, as we are kind of segueing our way from the W into the college season. Again, you laid out your top 10 teams. Okay, so first of all, of course, great story though. But also, I kind of want to, I guess, just ask though, I guess to kind of put it in a nutshell, reasons behind the top 10 teams you picked and why.
As in why I picked them, or is that what you mean? I don't know. I kind of just wanted to spice things up, especially for the show and the website, since it is about women's basketball in general, I kind of just wanted to start a topic. And I mean, the reason why I picked who I picked, I mean, first of all, I picked UConn because look what they're doing right now. They're just dominating everybody. It's not even fair what they're doing to these teams. Second, you guys already know why I picked South Carolina. I mean, the great Dawn Staley. I mean, how could you not pick Dawn Staley? And what she's done with that team, she's turned that team completely, around. South Carolina was a non-factor before she got there, and she's made it into a place where you want to be. I may be going off of the order a little bit. I don't remember exactly the order, but you always got to put Tennessee in there. You can never count them out. Cal, why not? Duke, because they always seem to just squeak out wins. My memories, I'm old, so my memories kind of leaving me here. I think I put Maryland. I put Maryland because I just love Brenda Freese as a coach. She's an awesome coach. Her team really loves her. They buy into the system. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember all the teams. It was I know it was Duke. I said it was Maryland. I can't remember all the teams. Like I said, I'm old, and I wrote that like a couple of days ago, maybe a week or two ago. So it left me. But yeah, most of the teams I picked, there's a good reason for them. And I think the top 10. I think at least probably 4 of my top 10 teams are gonna make it pretty far in the postseason.
I was going to intervene, Crystal. You said, so to revisit your list again, you had UConn, South Carolina, Tennessee, Maryland, Stanford 1 through 5, and then the bottom half was Notre Dame, Cal, Texas, ASU, and Duke to round out your top 10. Now, Shorty, obviously, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but of course you see Crystal's list, I should say, but top 10 to watch. So obviously, I think that everyone in this hangout or on the broadcast team more than likely has UConn 1, I'm assuming. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I think we all do. Shorty, though, if you had to either adjust or maybe make a tweak to Crystal's list of the top 10 to watch, who are you putting in and taking out and why?
Trying to quickly think here. As of right now, there is no one that I would, take out of her list. I think her list is pretty solid. Those are the teams, that everyone will have their eyes on this season. So I definitely think she has a good list, and I wouldn't tweak a thing. And also, quickly, Crystal, you're only old in dog years.
Only
you try
old
to call
and
me a dog
years.
now.
That's good. That's
Try
good.
to call me a dog now.
So with that, again, folks, you guys can visit both Crystal's top 10 and Reagan's top 7. I'm sure that eventually I'll work something up, but I'm in the middle of writing another story about me and a good friend of mine as well, not named Candace Wiggins for once, folks, but I'll eventually put a list together sometime soon, hopefully for you folks. But we'll get to that later on. But again, to check out more from us on the site, again, it's WNBA365.wix.com/WNBA365. And, of course, last night we added in our social hub to the menu page, so it's got everyone's Twitter timeline, which is either a good thing or a bad thing for all of us. But again, you guys can check out everything that we've pretty much posted, and also that's an easier way for us to, or an easier way for you to not only follow all 5 of us on the broadcast team, but also check out other things that we've shared though with the hashtag WNBA365. All right, guys, we get to the bittersweet part of our recaps, the 12th and final team to discuss tonight, which is the New York Liberty. Of course, Liberty, kind of almost a worst to first kind of season for them, coming back after a pretty perilous 2014 campaign, going back to 23-11, first in the Eastern Conference, but unfortunately, though, dipped down in 3 games to the eventual Eastern Conference champs, the Indiana Fever, of course, led by longtime head coach Bill Laimbeer. But Shorty, even before the season began, though, okay, obviously we knew that there was a bit of a small ownership change, of course. We'll get to that first right now, of course. Isaiah Thomas, longtime NBA player, brought in by James Dolan, the owner of both the Knicks and the Liberty and MSG, as the new president and also a part owner of that franchise. But, of course, though, he was also entrenched with a judge's ruling from a few years ago, again, about possible sexual harassment of a Madison Square Garden employee, but, of course, he is denied countless times over that. So obviously, Shorty, we had one deal already before this even began, of course, with Griner and Johnson. Then we had this one land on our plates as well as WNBA fans. So obviously, Shorty, the legal problems didn't really end for the WNBA at all until this came out as well. So what were your thoughts though when the announcement was made about James Dolan bringing in Isaiah Thomas? Again, great player, but again though with a pretty clouded background though off the floor though, with the sexual harassment on his record though. Your thoughts and why?
I mean, I pretty much knew the whole ordeal that some chaos was going to happen, and it pretty much did. I mean, after the announcement was made that he would, become team president and also possibly part owner, so many women's rights groups came out and protested, including protesting in front of MSG, about Isaiah Thomas in any way, in any capacity, having anything to do with, a women's franchise. But of course, everything played out as I had already originally predicted. Now, why the WNBA, league front office could not, do anything about an individual organization, team owners, hiring and bringing him in. Of course, they did have input in stopping him becoming part owner, and that's what the board of governors did, as rejected his application. So he was only, allowed to be team owner. I mean, he did help with the development of Brittany Boyd's season, and she definitely had a solid rookie season, until she sadly injured herself before the playoffs. But yes, he did help with the development of Brittany Boyd. But just throughout the season, I mean, the Liberty had a great season, with great off season, bringing in so many talented players. They finished not only top of the East, but top of the league overall. As you pointed out, had a 23-11 record, which led to Bill Laimbeer being named Coach of the Year. And then, they got into the playoffs. They took down the Mystics, not before getting a Game 1 scare, in the Eastern Conference semis. But then when they got to the Eastern Conference Finals, they were shocked by the Indiana Fever, and that ultimately ended their season.
Crystal, I want to stay on the Isaiah Thomas thing first. We'll get to the recap or anyone's thoughts about that momentarily. But Crystal, obviously, it was one. We talk a lot about touchy subjects. There's a lot of buttons that we've been pushing this entire season. Between pushing ears and eyes and noses and everything else, including a lot of very touchy, sensitive talking points this entire 2015 season. Of course, between Johnson and Griner over the offseason, and of course Isaiah Thomas coming into the fray. And I remember very well seeing photos from fans of the Liberty who had taken photos and took all those photos of all those women's rights activist groups protesting in front of MSG and around the building. About Isaiah Thomas coming into the fray. So obviously, Crystal, very touchy subject, as I said earlier. But your thoughts though about Isaiah Thomas coming into the fray though this season for the Liberty? Your thoughts about him being hired and why?
I mean, well, Shorty took all my good points like always, but I think I think it's kind of weird, and the case that was against him, that's not a case to be taken lightly, especially when you're working with majority of women. I think they should have took more consideration to the person's thoughts and the person's feelings, because you're kind of just slapping that person in the face like, oh, okay, your accusation, your case means nothing, we're going to hire him anyway. And I feel like maybe the league should have did a little bit more to kind of prevent that from happening. I mean, they did do, as Shorty said, they did deny one thing, but I feel like the Liberty itself probably should have taken consideration and probably got another hire.
Yeah, like I said, guys, this, we've talked a lot about very sensitive talking points on this program during the season, before the season, in the season, and now after the season. Of course, you brought up Johnson and Griner plenty of times, and then bring up this one. I mean, a very, 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 very turbulent season for the WNBA, off the floor at least. Of course, with front office hirings like this one, and of course with players, of course, as well. Again, with Johnson and Griner, then of course this one as well with Isaiah Thomas. and the Liberty, of course, hiring him to come into the fray as well. Now, again, Shorty, I know that he pretty much laid out all your, you used up all your bullets, for the recap of the season. But again, like I said, though,
Yeah.
Shorty, again, a season you can kind of say was, worst to first, rags to riches almost in a way, again, about how the Liberty really did a 180 on the offseason and really, improved this team that was, way better than what we had seen last year. And, of course, this year, again, was Bill Laimbeer, again, working that draft day magic, of course, striking that deal to get Brittany Boyd from San Antonio with the number 8 pick in the draft. I mean, everything that he did as well between getting Boyd and then, of course, the other 3 picks, of course, were Amber Orange, Lauren Mincy, and Michaela Johnson as well, those other 3 picks that they had in the draft. So, Shorty, overall, though, any thoughts, again, kind of to recycle the water here, your thoughts again about the entire season for New York as a whole? What do you think?
I just pretty much think that the Liberty, as a team, they had probably one of the most underrated, off seasons, one of the most underrated free agencies in the league this year. I mean, you talk about the draft and the drafting, we can also bring up free agency where, Bill Laimbeer got some great pickups. He picked up Tia Wright from Seattle when the Storm was basically having a fire sale. He got Candace Wiggins, and then that trade also bringing in Epiphany Prince, from Chicago. I mean, no disrespect to Cat, but the Liberty pretty much brought in a younger, version of Cap, who's still in her prime, in Epiphany Prince. So, they brought her in, and then, the great draft picks that they, brought in Kia Stokes, and Brittany Boyd, and, Amber Orange. I mean, it literally, pushed this team to be, from worst to first, and not only first in the conference, but first league-wide.
Crystal, again, you don't see a team turn around a season or turn around a franchise like that, basically, with a bunch of draft day moves. Again, Laimbeer works out that deal with Dan Hughes again. During the draft, of course, gets, Brittany Boyd, number 8 overall, then, of course, gets Kia Stokes in the draft as well. Moving around some more personnel pieces there, and, of course, all the free agency that he did bring between Wiggs and Wright, and even Carolyn Swords coming in, too, after she took the year off as well to rest up her knees when she was in Chicago. Crystal, your overall take, though, about how the Liberty really improved on their 2014 campaign and again, shot up from worst to the number 1 overall seed in the league and in the Eastern Conference.
I mean, you like to call Bill Laimbeer the trade king. I mean, he does everything he does in the offseason. He does it well. Like Shorty said, there's nothing wrong with Cappy, but they wanted a young and tender, so they went ahead and went with EP, and it worked. I mean, Cappy is a great player, but EP is definitely what they needed. She's a lot quicker because Cappy isn't as young as she used to be. She is right now possibly a better three-point shooter than Cappy is now, and it worked. I mean, everything they've done worked, and I mean, hate him or love him, Bill Laimbeer is good. He is what he is, and I mean, he got Coach of the Year for a reason, and he did a really good job. And I think the Liberty next year is still going to be a scary team in the East, especially with Mr. Trade King doing what he does best.
Tanisha, that brings me to my next point. And again, as much as the LA fans and I think probably the league fans probably that despise Bill for the kind of guy he was or is and was as a player, of course, with the Pistons, and we know very well from the the bad boys of Detroit, of course, against the Showtime Lakers, even when they were playing the Bulls back in the day for you, Crystal. And we know that there's really no love lost between fans specifically of the Sparks and Bill because of course what happened at the Malice and the Palace Part 2 up there at the Palace of Auburn Hills with the massive brawl on national television. But what Bill did though this year, I think, sort of kind of eased kind of like the disrespect I kind of had for the guy because the guy turned this franchise around from a team that was bottom falling through the bottomless pit for many years, and of course this year, I mean, with the turnaround, I mean, and I think he was worthy enough of the very much worthy of Coach of the Year because, again, I know that a lot of people said, why not Stephanie White? They were only, fixated on the regular season, not necessarily what they did after the regular season had ended because, of course, you really can't hold out awards, hand them out for the postseason, though. But, Shorty, though, I guess your overall thoughts about how Bill Laimbeer simply turned this club around from a bottom feeder to a #1 contender in the Eastern Conference in a matter of a few months.
I mean, in my point of view, he did a great job. And remember, this was a guy who was just previously fired, the year before. I mean, after the 2014 season, when they missed him, the Liberty organization then thought it was a great idea to fire Bill Laimbeer, but then to ultimately rehire him the next following years. So I think that was definitely a great choice on the organization's behalf to, bring him back at least and get one more chance because at that point in time, I mean, there wasn't really anyone else out there, in the coaching field that they could pick up that would have done a better job than what, Bill Laimbeer eventually did, so they were smart by bringing him back and it paid off. He came back, did all the right things, made all the right moves, and has basically built a contender.
Crystal, like we kind of, volleyball served the topic of what our thoughts were on the GM and head coaching dual tags in the WNBA, and we kind of, said it, it's good and it can be bad sometimes. And I think, though, that when Bill was both of them, he went out there and just, like we said, way back last year during the summer, during the late part of the season, we had talked about, the famous joke of, is this Bill Laimbeer's retirement home? Okay, thank you, because when Bill was the GM and head coach, he was bringing in all the old, outdated players from Detroit, between Lynette Pearson, between getting, Swin Cash back from Atlanta in that deal, but, that sent DMJ down to Atlanta. I mean, he, like we said, though, the Atlanta Misfit Toys a year ago, and now it's, a team that's rejuvenated and back to 100%. That again went from rags to riches and back to the top spot of the East, like they used to be back in the 90s, like they were accustomed to many years ago during the early parts of the league. So, Crystal, how much credit though does Bill get though for this turnaround that he did, lead this club to for this 2015 campaign?
He gets a lot of credit. I guess he finally realized that you're not going to get anywhere with an old team, and that's, I think what it is, he pretty much evolved with the game. It seems like before he was trying not to evolve as much as he needed to, and he realized that didn't get him far. So I think he realized, okay, in order for me to be as good as I want to be, I have to get younger. I can't keep getting older. The older he got, the worse his team got. So I think he gets a lot of credit with turning the team around. I mean, he no longer has dinosaurs on his team. He has spring chickens, and that's the way to go. I mean, it's working out well for him, so he gets a lot of credit for the turnaround.
Tanisha, there's 3 players I want to get to. One of them is not who you guys are thinking of right now in this block of the program, but that is Swin Cash, Tina Charles, and Epiphany Prince. 3 of the players that I think just had, great seasons for New York. But first of all, Shorty, let's start with Tina Charles, who's now kind of become the poster child or the franchise player now for this Liberty Club, of course, demanded that trade from the Sun a few seasons ago, of course, with her being a bit disgruntled about where the Sun were going and how she's gone to New York. And like we say a lot, though, and I think that Chris and I talk about this, I think, off air a few times, is a change of scenery is always good for an athlete or for a coach because, you get so fixated in one area and, either it's not fun anymore playing there or you just lose your interest in the sport or, you just don't have that love for the game that you did have at one point. And when Tina went to New York, you saw a rejuvenated player that, that I think is going to be an MVP candidate for a long time to come. Shorty, your overall thoughts, though, about Tina's 2015 campaign specifically, though, and why?
I mean, most definitely you talk about, her having a change of scenery, her going back home, to New York, a player who is originally, grew up in Queens, so that change of scenery, going back home, definitely benefited her. And after her season, I mean, I think that for this year especially, she wanted to expand her range. So she started, shooting a lot of 15 feet jumpers and, working on her, lowering a lot of people's heads explode, including the co-host, one of the co-hosts of this network, Eric. It made his head it made his head go into, atomic bomb status. But, for me, I think, like I said, she just wanted to, expand her game because she see, a lot of these, post players in the league, the likes of and Alina Deladon and Candace Parker and, upcoming player that's coming in next year, Brianna Stewart. She see, that those players are, kind of combo players who, can hit the three and stuff like that. So I definitely think that Tina Charles just wants to expand her game instead of, being the traditional back to the post, player. She wants to expand her game. But as far as her stats, statistic-wise, I mean, her stats were pretty much the same as last year. Her numbers, she averaged 17.1 PPG, 8.5 RPG, and 2.4 assists. So her stats were pretty much the same, but, it's not just solely on her that helped her improvement. It was it was the roster around her, as we just brought up at the top of the show. The changes made to the Liberty roster, bringing in those talented pieces, made her an even better player. So most definitely Tina Charles, stayed consistent, but it was, the team improvement that, helped the Liberty become a success this season.
Crystal, I remember seeing Tina play during her time at UConn, of course, because my family is UConn women's basketball fans. And like Shorty said, though, kind of being one-dimensional, though, she was a traditional, back to the hoop post player. And, she was the same way for a bit in Connecticut with the Sun. And then, of course, she goes to New York, and she's able to kind of, become a three-dimensional player, or, a five-tool player, I'd say, because I'm a big baseball fan and baseball player at one point. We talk about five-tool players a lot in baseball. She became a five-tool player this year, expanding her range, of course, and again, kind of getting out of that one-dimensional zone of being that, just that one-dimensional back to the post, and just, put it up and put it in, where she was, going out, sometimes going for threes, and of course the jumpers as well. Your thoughts, though, about her entire season, though, and why?
I would have to agree. I think, first of all, for her season, she played well. I mean, like Shorty said, Tina Charles, you can see the expansion in her game. She seemed like she was a lot quicker out there. She was in really good shape. She was a lot faster. And, going back to her being one-dimensional, I agree. I mean, I think it had to do with the lot who was at Connecticut, too. I mean, look who you have at New York. You have E. Prince, who can speed it up, slow it down, and you have, she has people she can, do a pick and pop with, pick and roll. Not saying she didn't have it at Connecticut, but she has it more in New York. They did a good job of building around her so she can expand her game. I mean, I think the expansion is great. Like she said, it did make Eric's head blow up. Um, the fact that you have a center who is, shooting like that, who can play back to the basket, who can, post up, who can do all that. That's amazing. I mean, you want that. The league is changing. I mean, you see centers doing it all the time now. So I think her game has improved a lot, and it's scary to think of where it's going to be next year.
Tanisha, Epiphany Prince comes over in a off-season deal that sent Cappie Pondexter back to her hometown of Chicago, and of course Piff comes back to New York. Of course, her being a Rutgers alum, playing close by in New Jersey, of course. Piff and Charles just did this. I mean, they were poetry in motion almost every time you saw them play, and I think she had a great season coming back to New York, and also, I think she fit the mold of this club, like that from day one. Played so well and, of course, fit the mold of that club. Any thoughts about Piff coming to New York and, of course, being a bit closer to home for herself, too, being, from, playing at Rutgers, of course, her college ball. Your thoughts about Piff in her 2015 campaign?
All right, Piff. Let me drop some stats for Piff. I mean,
look for the stats.
This season she averaged 16 PPG, 2.9 RPG, and 3.4 APG. So Yes, those assists. She was dishing out dimes, but like Tina Charles, I think she benefited too from coming back home to New York, a former product of Rutgers. So I most definitely think you know, she benefited from coming back home and playing in front of her home crowd, her family, and things like that. But most definitely, I mean, she had some of her best years in Chicago, most definitely. But I think especially with this year, I mean, we're going to see more from Epiphany Prince. I mean, she's in a really great system, really great pieces surrounding her. So we'll definitely see more from Epiphany Prince, in the later years coming up.
Crystal, Piff and Charles, like I said, I mean, they did this from day one, and of course, they played against each other a lot in high school when they were growing up in New York, and of course, against each other as well when they were in college. And of course, for them finally being able to play with each other for the first time, and I've had this question asked to me a few times, and I've asked it to a few players as well. Is it a headache to play in your hometown, or is it more of a good thing to play in your hometown? I've had a mixed bag of reactions of it being both a good thing and a bad thing playing in your hometown. But Crystal, obviously, like I said, though, I mean, Piff comes in and just does this instantly with Charles and with this club and with this team as well. Any thoughts about how Piff played though during her 2015 season and why?
Pip played well. Pip played really good. And to answer your little statement, I think for Piff, her playing home worked out very well for her. Some people can do it, some people can't. I think it all depends on the person's mentality. If they're going to get distracted, if they're going to, take it as a little game. But I think she did well. I mean, I think that change of scenery worked. I'm not gonna lie. When I heard the trade, I was kind of like, that was kind of weird. But I mean, Bill Laimbeer's the trade king for a reason, and he keeps proving that every year. He's watching make a weird trade. Hopefully, it's one for Abdi. I would love to see her in New York. She would look good in a black jersey, Laimbeer. You should pick her up.
No.
She's tall. She can play defense. She can, she has a very good bench presence. Um, a keyword on bench presence. Um, I think he should go ahead and make that trade. But Epiphany Prince did well. She played really well this year.
Shorty, that's going to bring me to one more vet before we move on to some of the young kids and the unsung heroes of this New York team. And, of course, the one I've had my eye on the whole time is Swin Cash, a longtime WNBA vet, of course. Probably, sadly, on the end of the trail, though, for her at this point in time, seeing her production go down year after year, which is, a bit disheartening for me to see for someone that is, for one, watched her a bit when I was growing up at UConn, and, of course, her career across the entire WNBA, and, of course, she's got a great future though on television with CBS. She does a great job on her Tuesday night show with a bunch of the other great female analysts and everyone else included on the show on CBS Sports Network. But sure though, I mean, it's kind of depressing to see Swin though. Hey, I give her props. I'd give her a hug just for her continuing to go out there and play and suit up every game. Even this late in her career to see her go out there and just, for the love of the game, go out there and play. Not in a 9-out and bust or tail to play for New York or just play in general. But sure though, your overall thoughts though about Swin going forward though in 2016 and why?
I mean, okay, for us, when I'm not even going to lay down her stats because, yeah, about that. Anyway, regardless of the stat sheet, I mean, what Swin Cash brought to this New York Liberty squad, the intangibles, the veteran presence, the veteran leadership. I mean, you can look at stats all day, but there's the little things that would make a team successful, and I think Swin Cash brought that. She brought the veteran presence, and the great chemistry to rally the players, and the young minds together to make this team a success, because she's been there, she's done that, through her college days at UConn, then her pro career playing in Detroit, getting titles there, won the title with Seattle, so she's been to where the Liberty is trying to get to now, and she is going to bring that each game, day in, day out, in the locker room or whatever the case may be, Swin is going to bring that veteran leadership that each and every team needs to become successful.
Crystal, you and I saw this Liberty team play, when we were sitting down in about the first row behind the Liberty bench with about 2 minutes left, and I moved a big thing of popcorn out of the way so I can sit down and, look for a few important people on that New York team. But, just seeing Swin go out there and play, though, and, in spite of what the stat sheet may read, you can throw that out the window here, because, with a player like Swin, of course, the intangibles, the veteran leadership, the championship rings on her fingers is what she brought or brings to his team. And again, I think right now, Crystal, at this point in time, yeah, she's probably, of course, chasing another championship. But I think, though, more so it's just her playing for the love of the game, I think, and you don't see that a lot very often nowadays in sports where you see a player, well out of their prime in their 30s, even in their 40s in some cases, just going out there and just playing the game for the hell of it, and just going out there and enjoying, every second that they can to play their sport until they do finally decide to call it quits, though. But, KT, in your mind, though, what are your thoughts about Swin going forward into 2016 and why?
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Swin just out the blue was like, I'm retiring after this year. Like Shorty says, productivity-wise on the court, she hasn't really been much of a factor. But I think she's a really good bench presence. I think because she's been there before, she's a veteran. The younger players are, really taking her advice and really listening to her. But as far as her being productive, that ship has sailed. Probably half of a moon ago. Not many moons, but like half of a moon ago. So, I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up retiring. But, for a veteran presence, she's great for her team. I mean, I think she's half of the reason why New York went as far as they did. She was definitely, half of the reason why Seattle won the championship. Even with Chicago, they made it to the playoffs when she was there. So I think her bench presence has a lot to do with, the surrounding players around her.
Tanisha, let's get to some of the young kids now on this roster, specifically their first two picks in the draft this year, of course, which was Brittany Boyd out of Cal via San Antonio with that trade by trader Bill Laimbeer in the draft, and, of course, Kia Stokes out of UConn as well going to New York as well. Shorty, I mean, Brittany Boyd played absolutely phenomenal basketball up until she sadly shattered her wrist before the playoffs started, and she was sidelined for the remainder of the last two regular season games in the entire postseason run for New York. And obviously Kia Stokes as well with block after block as well, and her size as well, doing a lot of dirty work down low in the paint. Shorty, your thoughts about these two future stars for the WNBA and for the Liberty going forward in your mind?
As we brought up before, the great mind of Bill Laimbeer brought these two together, on his roster, and they most certainly played off and was up to that helicopter up there. But yes, Brittany Boyd, for the season, she averaged 6.6 PPG, 2.7 RPG, and 2.3 assists. But, as I said, regardless of certain people's personal feelings towards Isaiah Thomas, he was a big part of her development in her rookie season, and I definitely think she had a great rookie season, despite, injuring herself before the playoffs. She was named to the all-rookie team along with Kia Stokes. Kia Stokes averaged 5.6 PPG, 6.4 RPG. She shot 54.7 field goal percentage, from the field. So, that's definitely big for, a rookie. And in her rebounding, as I just pointed out, for a rookie, those are some insane numbers. She was definitely a big part to why the Liberty, led. Give me a sec here. Team stats, they led the league in rebounds per game, averaging 36.7, rebounds per game. And that was due to the fact of, bringing in Akia Stokes, who is definitely a great rebounder, along with Tina Charles. And, those two definitely, came in, first-year players, played fearless, and definitely ready to see what more they'll bring in the future.
Crystal, again, two diamonds in the rough to kind of fill into Bill Lambier's lap via those trades on draft day, again, with San Antonio trading Boyd to New York, and, of course, also getting Kia Stokes later in that draft as well. As we said, though, Brittany Boyd played, phenomenal basketball. Of course, the development from Isaiah Thomas also helped out as well. And then, of course, Kia Stokes, not only scoring and rebounding, but also with blocks and blocks and blocks, so keeping the other team off the scoreboard and off the score sheet as well. Your thoughts about these two young guns for New York going forward into the future?
I think Brittany Boyd, for one, that was a huge loss. I think if she would have been there, they possibly could have gotten past Indy. The fact that they have, let me get it right, let me say it slow, Kia Stokes, right? It's Kia.
Bingo.
Okay, good. Okay, the fact that they got Kia Stokes and Brittany Boyd, I think their future is bright. They have two young guns who don't show signs of stopping anytime soon, and I think Bill Lambier, like I said, Trader Bill, the trade king, he knew what he was doing. He picked up great pieces. They're another team that kind of draft, but they don't, and it's because they have Bill Lambier, and he did a good job. And New York is going to be really scary with him. You have E. Prince, you got Tina Charles, and you got these two young guns. That team's going to be pretty stacked.
Tanisha, we're going to move now to the last part of our roster and team breakdown for New York before we get some final thoughts and move on to bigger and better things, is the unsung heroes, the bench mob of this New York team, of course, between the likes of Essence Carson, who had a great season, and, of course, as Eric had called her, of course, the baby deer, Carolyn Swords, who was her main starting center for a bit. And, of course, Shorty, we know that we saw threes from these two, so you can either have your three-pointers served with powdered sugar, or I would choose them served ice cold between both Sugar Rogers and Candace Wiggins as well on that bench for New York. And that bench, if you want to talk about a bench outplaying some people, that team on that bench really, personified why Crystal always says having a good bench is important for a deep postseason run. And New York had that this season between Carson and Swords, and, of course, between Sugar and Candace as well on that bench. Shorty, your thoughts about how dynamite this New York bench was in general?
Yes, you brought up the word bench mob. They most certainly was, a bench mob. And, that's the thing. I think, quickly, not to run off topic, but that's definitely one of the things that has been, a thorn in Los Angeles side for a couple of years. And that was because you already know, Crystal, that they did not have a potent bench. But, for this season, the New York Liberty, like we, discussed, not only bringing in pieces, but just pieces for the bench. You talk about Sugar Rogers, she's been there, for a few years. She's definitely has been improving, and Carson, she's been there for a long time, since 2008. She was an original draft pick there, and then Wiggins, bringing in Wiggins, like I said, was definitely a great pickup for them, most definitely. But yes, that's definitely one of the keys to having a great team and having a successful season, is definitely having firepower in their second unit, and that's definitely what the Liberty had this season.
Crystal, if there was a such thing as, because we know that Chick Kern used to make up Chickisms or his catchphrases during his broadcast when he was with the Lakers. If I could think of like KT-isms for you, there's three of them. There's Suki Suki. There's I Just Be Chillin'. And the third one is you have to have a good bench for a deep postseason run, and that is by far what New York did. Again, between Essence Carson and between Sugar Rogers, Swords, and even Avery Worley Talbert, who was on that bench, and, of course, Candace Wiggins as well on that bench. Then again, Crystal, you and I saw this firsthand in July again of how that bench, pretty much outworked LA in the second half of that game that we were at. Your thoughts, though, again, and your favorite point again, what does a deep bench, though, do for a team in any sport, but more so here in the WNBA, and why?
I'm glad you brought that up. I say that all the time. You need a bench. A bench is probably the second most important thing to having a team. If you don't have a bench, you don't have a team, pretty much. And their bench, they probably had one of the best benches in the league. And it just proves to you, look how far they got. I mean, unfortunately, they lost to Indiana, but look how far they got because of it. And like Shorty said, not trying to go back to some shows ago, but LA didn't have a bench, and you saw how far that they got. So it's only, there's it's. I think Bill and Beard in the front office did a good job of putting pieces around the starters that he knew would work well in order to get them far. Because if you don't have a bench, you're just gonna be chilling at home watching the playoffs like everybody else, pretty much. So that's how important the bench is. And I mean, he proved it. And just because Calvin said it, all sucky sucky. There
So
you
she
go.
fits all three in, folks. You got to love it, right? Okay, Shorty, I've held in for 45 minutes. You, I think, hyphenated my last name earlier talking about this player. But in a way, though, Tanisha, as we talked about, though, with Swin Castaigne there, though, again, I believe, though, not only did Candace Wiggins sign with New York, perhaps, like we said earlier in the block, though, guys, about it being more of a good thing or bad thing playing either in your hometown or close to home. I think that perhaps 2014 was a bad thing, perhaps, for Wiggs coming back to LA. But I think, though, as well that, veteran leadership as well with her as well, being an 8-year vet with a 2011 championship on her, on her fingers as well. And of course, off the bench, and again, kind of going back to how it was with her in Minnesota, coming off the bench and being that spark plug off the bench for them, and obviously, had a, more so, some off nights. But again, though, Shorty, hey, Game 3, though, conference semifinals, when they need someone to get hot, she got she got icy hot for one, but also there was Sugar Rodgers, though, on the other side. Those two, were a, dynamic duo off the bench, though. More so when it counted the most. Now, not regular season. When it counted the most, though, big-time players make big-time plays in big-time situations, and those two made big-time plays in a big-time situation in a must-win game for New York. So specifically about Wiggs and Rodgers, but more so Wiggs, though, Shorty, what is, the other vet, but off the bench, though, what is the move of Wiggins going to New York, though, I guess, kind of do for that New York bench again, kind of having two vets, so that have been there and have been to the big dance during their careers between both Swin and Candace as well. Your thoughts and why?
I mean, for the Liberty, it provided, another great shooter, another solid 3-point shooter that, can be counted on in those big moments, as you were talking about. That's what she brought in. And as for her, originally, going to LA, I don't think that was a bad choice. It's just that you never know, and you can never predict how things play out. And it's just that, with her going to LA and tearing her meniscus and was out for half of the season, just things didn't work out the way, she probably would have liked. But, other than that, she moved on and, went on to New York and definitely, injury-free, had a great season there. And, she counted on when she needed when goodness, when she, was counted on, she, came through in the clutch, whether it was in the regular season or in the playoffs. She definitely did her thing. So, that was a great pickup for the Liberty. Her bringing her veteran presence along with a Swing Cash.
Crystal, again, like I said, I held in for 45 minutes, and again, stumbling upon Shorty, I believe, perhaps unconfirmed again, hyphening my last name for that reason earlier in the block. But again, Crystal, again, like Shorty said, I mean, you can't predict the future. I mean, if I could predict the future, it'd be, me predicting the final score of the game I'm working tomorrow night at PLNU. That's as far as I'd probably go in the future. Or if the Chargers can somehow beat the Chiefs when I go on Sunday with Candace's cousins, and everyone else included on Sunday. But in the retrospective, in the big picture, though, Crystal, obviously with Wiggs going there again, more so, not only was it, not only was it a good thing for her, though, going there to a better, I believe, though, a better team than what was out in Los Angeles in 2014 to 2015. But again, veteran leadership, though, and again, stepping up in a big moment, though, for a team that had not been in the postseason in a long time. Any thoughts about her overall in general and why?
She felt. I mean, she just looked really comfortable in New York. You know how we say change of scenery is good. I think she had a career resurgence in New York. I don't know. I don't know if it was Bill. I don't know if it was the coaching, but whatever it was, she felt really comfortable in New York, and she had confidence. You didn't see that much confidence when she was in LA, even though she really didn't get to play a whole lot because of the knee injury, but she has confidence, and that's one thing you haven't seen since she was, since she left Minnesota, to be honest with you. And she, I don't know what it is, but Bill Lambier and whoever it is did a good job of just letting her do her thing, letting her get her confidence back. I mean, she changed the scenery. We've said that a lot, and I know it's probably getting redundant to the viewers, but change of scenery really does work. Like, it really can be the real deal for a lot of players.
Tanisha, obviously, this was a breakthrough season as well for the Liberty, not just on the court and in a great season, but also the first WNBA team featured full season in the Players Tribune with articles written by every player in some capacity, and also a very small YouTube vlog series as well, chronicling the players on the court, going to a practice, going to a game, or even off the floor as well, with how they spent their day off, of course. As well, they documented the team's trip to Six Flags over New Jersey as well. Again, Shorty, I think we talked about this briefly, but again, we'll go here now again. Shorty, we talked about, again, obviously, Players Tribune equals the voice for the players that play the professional sports. Then we get to hear a story. But Shorty, also, not only about reading stories about, from Wiggs and other players, though, it reminded me a lot, I should say, though, of my personal one-on-one interviews that I had done with both Ace and Ice over the offseason last year, because they were writing more so kind of like writing conversationally about something, whether it was, of course, Essence Carson writing about her family having some problems with cancer in her family, and then of course the story as well about triple checking the lock on the doors, and of course with Candace sharing the story about her career kind of almost ending because of her torn Achilles at MSG. She was in her second year with the Lynx in 2009. Shorty, one has Players Tribune, I guess, done for this franchise specifically, because again they were the only team documented all season by the PT. But sure, your thoughts about how the Players Tribune again really influenced and really helped get fans into inside of a life of a professional athlete. Your thoughts and why?
Most definitely. It gave the fans an in-depth look into the everyday lives of the New York Liberty players. Just travel with them through the journey of just everyday life, and how things go, whether it's on or off the court. Definitely get into the minds of the players, their lives, and see what things they go through. But like I said, like we talked about in the last show, definitely gives them a voice. Because I don't have full knowledge on the New York market, but I would say in essence it's sort of like the LA market, where the Libs and Sparks, even though these are two of the biggest cities in the nation, but when it comes to WNBA, they still don't get the shine that they should, and not too many people know their stories. So with the Players Tribune giving the Liberty a voice, it definitely helps them and definitely helps the fans and anyone else that's wanting to know about the players within the organization. They can read their stories and see things from their point of view.
Crystal, again, the Players Tribune has done so many great things for not just the WNBA, but also for athletes in general. Of course, formed and made by longtime Yankee shortstop Derek Jeter. He's one of the founding members of this great website. And again, seeing them, or just seeing how this was, set up again, it's kind of like backstage on Time Warner Cable Sports in a bit, how you got to go behind the scenes, behind closed doors, and visit them at practice, or see them travel to a game, or any of their stuff on the off day. Of course, my favorite one, though, was seeing, Wiggins' Snapchat story, which she was sending me, of course, when they were at Six Flags over, New Jersey, and just seeing, how much fun this team was having, and, team building and team bonding, so on and so forth. Crystal, your thoughts, though, about, what this website has done, though, to promote this sport, and also not only promote the sport, or this team, I should say, but also promoting the sport, though, in general. Your thoughts and why?
Whew, caught a chill there for a second. It got kind of cold. I personally, I love the Players Tribune. It gives you an open insight on, these players as people, as human beings, as normal people like me and you, because a lot of people forget that these athletes are people too. They are human too. Because, a lot of them just see them, what they do on the court, they don't see them on the outside. So I love Players Tribune. It gives these athletes a voice. And the fact that they followed New York around, that's I think that's pretty cool. I would love for them to follow more than one team next time. I know they're probably just doing a test run. Oh, okay. Um, they were doing a test run, perhaps, and I think it's cool. I think it's pretty awesome how they did it, and the fact that it was going through a website such as Player Tribune, it brings more awareness to the league and to the team. But I love Players Tribune. Great stories on there.
I mean, if there was like an actual Players Tribune newspaper, I would subscribe to that and get rid of my subscription to the local newspaper here because I'd rather read, because I only read the sports section if I ever do read the newspaper. I would love to read, the Players Tribune every morning, just read about stories that everyone shares. And that now, Shorty, again, I think we may have asked this as well, but again, Shorty, again, there was so many great stories though that these players wrote between Tanisha Wright's story and of course between a lot of the other stories, of course, with one of the players, triple checking the locks on her doors and her windows, of course, because of a very rough upbringing as well. And of course, my personal favorite will be, and is of course Candace Wiggins' personal story again about things kind of coming full circle, of course, with her ripping her Achilles at MSG and now playing there full time for the season. Shuri, if you had to pick one, or pick a couple, at least, what was your favorite, your top stories to read, I guess.
Top stories. I mean, I have to admit I haven't read as many as I've probably wanted stuff going on, but as I brought up in a few shows ago, I did get to fully read the Laisha Cleardon story. That's probably the only one that I've read so far, and I thought it was a really great story. But I mean, I'm definitely gonna go back when I have that time and just read through the multiple stories because they're definitely I'm pretty sure they're great stories and everyone is an individual in their own way. So most definitely I'll go back and read. Definitely go back and read those stories because players have a lot to say and I definitely want to read things from their perspective.
Crystal, I mean, I'm sure if you've read through any of the stories on Players Tribune, if you had to list like your top few stories written by the players in the WNBA or even the Liberty specifically, your top stories are what?
Lasia definitely is one. Lasia Clarendon is cool people. She's cool with me. I believe it was Sugar Rogers who had the story about the door locks, right? I want to make sure that was correct. That one was a good one. Man, there was a lot. I can't, just name a few. Like there was a lot. Definitely those two though. Those two were and the EDD. I can't forget about hers. Those were definitely eye openers. Those were great stories. I could relate to Elena Del Don's story a lot. Those were really, really, really good stories.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much great content written, and obviously between Elena Deladon's story and of course Candace Wiggins' story and of course Lasia Clarendon's story as well. Those are probably my top three, not in that order, of course, but those are like the three that that really kind of make you open your eyes and see that that these people that they're human like us. They just do something a little bit better than us, sadly, or they just do something better. That they play basketball way better than me, and probably way better than anyone else on the broadcast team. Perhaps I beg to differ, though. Perhaps maybe with that last statement, but I think though that as Crystal said though about relating to that story, I can and of course I relate to Candace Wiggins though, folks, on such a great level. Of course, not only just being in San Diego, as I tell everyone all the time whenever I meet them. But with things coming full circle though, I mean I talked about this on Friday night when I was working that hockey game. Was I used to go and watch that team play when I was in first grade growing up all the way till the team folded in 2005, 2006, and to be able to, go and work for that team, going to work for a team that you grew up watching, if that's not really full circle coming around, I don't know what else is. And even with Candace Wiggins, with Wiggins' story as well was, here I met her when I was 11, when I was, and she was already a senior in high school at La Jolla Country Day. And to meet her and to see her again and hang out with her 10 years later was of course was awesome, and hopefully seeing her sometime next week or in the coming few weeks. But guys, though, real quick though before we do end the night, Shorty, I've been thinking about this lately and I want to get your take on this one. You guys may know, but WNBA turns 20 already. 20 years old next season. Again, to celebrate the 20th season. How fitting would it be, though, if we had June 21st, 2016, 20 years to the date this league was formed, that we've got the Libs and the Sparks play the first game of the season in Los Angeles like it was for the 15th anniversary of the league. Shorty, does the WNBA have to make that game mandatory where it's New York and LA, same date and time and place as the first game played 20 years ago? Yes or no, and why?
Yes, they should make it mandatory. I mean, just to pay homage. I mean, this league has, been through a lot of things and to ultimately, survive 20 years. I mean, remember, not day by day, but year by year. Of course, I guess we can include day by day, but also year by year. You hear talk of, oh my goodness, this league is going to fold. This league is going to fold. The NBA is tired of, subsidizing it. They're tired of losing money, on it. So it's going to fold, and year by year, it just continues to, be here. So definitely they should pay homage to the very first, game that went down 20 years ago to, not only just play that game, but to make a statement. Like, we're here 20 years strong. Hopefully we will be here 20 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Crystal, again, to reiterate the question again, does the WNBA have to mandatory play Liberty at Sparks, Staples Center, June 21st, 2016, for the official 20th anniversary of the league's formation? Yes or no, and give me a reason why.
Absolutely, and why? Because they should put me in one of those jerseys. It don't matter. I'll take a one-day contract just to play on one of those teams. I mean, you have to. Will they? We don't know. We know how the WNBA is. Sometimes when it comes to marketing opportunities, they miss them a lot. But like Shorty said, they should, because it's kind of like a ha-ha in your face with people who didn't think the league was going to last as long as it has. And now I feel old. I'm 3 years older than the WNBA. That's crazy to me. But they have to. They have to make it, and they have to sign me on a one-day contract so I can get 5 points. I just want 5 points and I'll be good. 5 points and I'll sit down. Me and Abby can have a conversation about World Star Hip Hop or something on the bench. It'd be a grand old time. But I think they should. I mean, will they? Who knows? Hopefully they don't miss the opportunity to do it. But I think that'd be a great idea. Because personally, I'm tired of seeing, even though it wouldn't be the beginning of the season, I'm tired of seeing Seattle and LA play all the time, like first. So it'd be awesome to see LA and New York go at it.
All right, so we'll do a few things. We'll start a little campaign against Sparks Liberty on the actual first day of the WNBA game, June 21st, 2016. Again, we got to make that date official, and we'll make it official. We'll stick Crystal with Abdi, and you'll stick me with Wiggins on the New York bench next season. We'll make that happen. I can guarantee you that much. With that, though, folks, we have gone into soccer stoppage time. We're 3 minutes past the cliff. Until then, folks, again, we'll be off tomorrow night. And again, folks, again, to reiterate again once more, I'm going to try to say this again slow and easy. Again, folks, again, you will not be able to see the PLNU women's basketball game on YouTube tomorrow night. Again, that is due to a university policy of a simul-stream broadcast. That is a no-go. But again, if you do want to watch, again, fork out $9 from your credit card and pay that up front to plnuclines.com. Again, plnuclines.com/game day, and you can hear my call of the game at 5:30 when PLNU hosts Bethesda University up in Anaheim, California, down here at Golden Gym in San Diego on PLNU's campus. Again, that is only going to be a private broadcast team only function tomorrow and Saturday. So again, you cannot view the games that I'll be announcing on the channel. Again, you'll have to fork out money to watch, but again, only the 5 people in regards to the team between Shorty, Crystal, myself. Well, of course, they'll be hearing me for 40 minutes for heaven's sake. But between anyone involved with the broadcast team, it is only open to them for the games I'll be calling. So again, you will not be able to watch that game, but again, we'll be back with you folks on Thursday and Friday with college coverage beginning on Thursday at 9 p.m. But until Thursday night, folks, have a safe night. Drive home safely. Thanks for stopping by and joining us, and good night now. This has been the WNBA 365 Network. We have a WNBA and covering the WNBA and the women's basketball universe. We'll see you folks back here on Thursday with college on Thursday for Crystal and Shorty up in LA, and of course Cal McClure down here in San Diego. See you Thursday night, folks. Bye-bye.